Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. In this video, we will talk about 13 odd things that you need to try for sure when you're in Thailand. No, this is not an exhaustive list. I just mean that these are some of the things that you should try in Thailand for sure, but I don't mean you should only try these things. For example, I've kept temples out of this list because I'm from India and we have plenty of temples here and I'm sick and tired of them already. So this comes from my personal experiences and here we go. First thing that you should try in Thailand for sure are the massages. If you don't know what massage to go for, simply go for a Thai massage. In fact, you don't have to try hard to get to a massage. You will obviously be compelled to go to one because you roam around so much and there's so much of physical activity involved that nobody has to tell you that you need to go for a massage. You will go finding for those massages yourselves. At the same time, you also need to be sure that you don't have to get into these shady massage parlors, which by the look of it, you will understand that these are not the authentic ones. So please stay away from those things. The second thing that you should definitely try in Thailand is Pad Thai. Every third person that you will see in Bangkok is gorging on Pad Thai. It's basically it can be considered as one of the staple foods of not the Thais, but people who travel to Thailand, they binge absolutely on Pad Thai. Although a big influence on Thailand's street market is from Chinese, there were a lot of immigrant Chinese workers who moved from China to Bangkok and other parts of Thailand ages ago, and they were the ones who brought the street culture back to Thailand. I would be making another video about the origin of street food, especially in Thailand, because it's one of the best street food corners that you can ever imagine. Alright, this is my personal favorite, but you get a peculiar kind of orange juice, especially in Bangkok. I have not seen in any of the islands though, but all across Bangkok, you will have these small, trolleys where people made fresh orange juice, and they probably sell it around 10 or 20 baht. I'm not really sure, but they're fantastic. I know there is sugar being added. They add some sugar to it. They're not naturally that sweet, but God, I can't tell you how good the orange juice is. Their taste. And they have these pretty bottles which are off-white bottles, and then you really should have to try these at least once. Apart from oranges, you have a lot of other fruits like dragon fruits and passion fruits and guava. They give you all sorts of pomegranate. They give you all sorts of juices. They make them and give it to you. So this is an absolute must try. Then, all the ladies, shop. One thing that you will notice in Bangkok is it's not only the women that are shopaholics. You will see a lot of men walking around these shopping streets and malls. If there's anything that's super crowded all the while in Bangkok, those are the malls, shopping malls and the night shopping streets. So you will get access to a lot of fashion trends, especially if you're from India. I don't mean to say we are not very fashionable, but I mean to say that there are other parts of the world who are much ahead of us in terms of fashion. So shop, definitely shop till you drop. One piece of advice, please carry a lot of cash. Don't flaunt your cards. Not many of them accept cards. Have a lot of cash on you, and please make sure that make sure you bargain. Don't haggle too much and piss them off, but you can bargain pretty much. Alright, the next one is the experiences that you should at least get once in a lifetime. Although this does not apply to most of Europeans because their party culture is wild and they would have had these experiences in the past. But if you're talking about a full moon party, I think you should absolutely get the experience of full moon party at least once in your lifetime. Although I had been there twice, it's definitely an experience. And don't try having too many buckets on full moon party at that beach where the full moon party is being held. There are a lot of scams that happen. Please take care of yourselves. Wear some shoes all the while because you have broken bottles. You have a lot of stuff that could hurt you. So please be wary of that. Alright, this is a big one. Visit as many islands as possible. I have seen a lot of people, especially from other parts like India and Dubai and UAE, where people come to Thailand for about 7 days or a week. Honestly, I think it's not sufficient. My first trip was for about 21 days. So if you're especially on a tight trip of about, let's say 7 days or 10 days, please make sure you don't skip the islands. You can skip a day or two in Bangkok, but you don't definitely want to miss out on the islands because islands are much more fun and it's a different culture altogether, from fast-moving, bustling Bangkok to a peaceful, laid-back islands where the people are so sweet and the kind of food they eat is not much different, but you will see a lot of differences in culture within Thailand between Bangkok and these islands. So back to the point, if you're on a short trip for 7 days in Thailand or around 7 to 10 days in Thailand, you should definitely try islands like Koh Chang, which is amazing. There are other islands like Koh Lip. If you could fly, you could do Koh Samui, Koh Phangan, but I think it's too short a time. Don't go to Koh Phangan and Koh Samui if you have only 3 days to spend there. If you have at least a week to spend there, then it makes a lot of sense. There's also an island which is called Koh Kret, which you should try close to Bangkok. It's good fun. The next thing that you have is go on a river cruise. Please don't forget to do that, because as long as you're in Bangkok, we are mostly used to taking taxis and other modes of communication, but we often miss out on the river, the Chao Phraya river cruise, which is amazing. I did not do it for the first two visits, but on the third visit, somebody suggested in the place that I was staying at. God, it was amazing. You have these tiny canals where the boat passes. You should really explore that. I bet you if you have not done that at least once in your any number of visits in Bangkok so far, if you do it next time, you will definitely see a profound difference. You will see another side of Bangkok for sure. I guess that's simpler. Floating market, ladies and gentlemen, biggest touring scams ever. You will see people overcharging you, etc. A lot of people use this as an opportunity to fleece, especially if you have stayed in Khao San Road ever. You will have these people surround you and they almost threaten you to go to floating market. It's a good experience to have. Talking about the islands, you should definitely try going to Koh Phi Phi, because or the Phi Phi Islands, which is really interesting, because one peculiar thing you will notice about Phi Phi is there are not any modes of transport, which means you will not see buses, you will not see tuk-tuks, you will not see bikes also. You will only see people either on bicycles or walking. You could walk the entire island by feet. And it was one of the biggest hit islands when the tsunami came and attacked the Thailand. And it's so inspirational, and I respect them a lot for their heart to be there at the stage that they are now, after recovering from the awful attack that they went through. So Koh Phi Phi, go for it. Khao San Road, how can I forget that? Almost all my trips, I've been there about 10 times. Almost all my trips I've stayed on Khao San Road. But it's got an amazing vibe. You see people. I somehow feel it's a mini congregation that happens at Khao San Road on Thailand, because you will see a lot of people coming from other parts of Thailand who are travelers, but they're staying in other parts of the city. But then they come to get the experience, and there are a lot of interesting conversations that happen. There are a lot of hidden bars on the streets, and there are two streets basically. One is called as the Khao San Street, which is the main Khao San, and then you have something called as Soy Rambutri. Rambutri is a little laid back. You have these lounge bars and places that you can sit and chat and talk. There's the other street which is super loud and you can't even listen to people next to you. Going to Thailand and coming back without a tuk-tuk ride? Impossible. You should absolutely try this tuk-tuk ride. They're super powerful. If possible, hop onto the next tuk-tuk. They may be slightly expensive than the taxis, but once in a while it's fine. If possible, also ask them if you can ride one. I've tried sitting in a tuk-tuk and tried to ride it, but I was too scared, so I just sat in it, took a picture and got out of it. Parties in Thailand and not having a bucket is almost considered a sin. Be wary of the fact that you don't have too many of them. Don't have them at dingy spots. Don't trust anybody who is offering a bucket to you, because there can be a lot of scams around this. But if you go to a party or if you go to a place where you get the vibe, you understand that it's not very weird. If you don't see too many drunk people or drunk travelers around, trust the place. You will understand the vibe when you get there. Try having a bucket in those places. It's surely an experience. And I miss the pre-COVID world for sure. Last but not the least, this is not something that I've done, although I'm super excited to do this when I'm back in Thailand again. Go for a Songkran festival. This is the water festival that happens in Thailand, where you have these water guns squirting water on anybody who you see. And it's wild. People get crazy with water and they start splashing water. They start pouring those buckets of water on you. They start attacking you with those tiny water guns or the big Nerf guns that they have. It's surely an experience. Although Songkran in Bangkok is good, what happens in Chiang Mai is amazing, I've heard. I would surely do that. I hope you will keep these things in mind, and if anything appeals to you, you don't have to try all. Make sure you at least give it a try when you go to Bangkok or Thailand next. And if you have any interesting options, please comment below and I'll surely include them. Thank you so much for being patient. Hopefully I'll see you all around in Thailand next year. Fingers crossed. Ciao.